Okay, so here comes an editing. It's not really a tutorial. I'm just kind of trying to explain and demonstrate what's going on. But all right, so what we're looking at is a digital performer. Digital performer is one of many uh, professional platforms that you can use for recording. This particular view is called sequence. Their lingo might be different from what you're used to. This is called the tracks view. The tracks view is where you have each of the individual tracks of your, here we make them a little bigger there. Melody, MIDI, bass, electric piano, organ, drums. So far I've only recorded audio for the bass guitar, and that's what I'm talking about right now. So what I want to do is discuss and look at the way I edit the recording. Okay, so what we're looking at here is each one of these, tan bars and squares going from left to right, that is one pass of recording, or what we used to call a take. All right, so you start recording over here, and then that's where I tap the strings, and then the recording, I start playing there. And so this particular take went, let's see, all the way over to right about measure 70. Then then I stopped and then started again. So every time you make a mistake or you forget what you're doing or you make a funny sound, then you start over. So here's bass 3, bass 4, bass 5. These are all separate takes, so to speak, right? So the rest of the song looks like it's kind of little sections, doesn't it? Okay. And then here's 7, and then that, I think, goes all the way to the end. Nope. And then I redid the very ending down here. Okay. For number 8. So, all in all is probably about a dozen different takes, for the bass guitar part. If you're a super great bass player, you could probably do it in 1 or 2. Let's see. And of course, depending on how difficult the song is. All right, so the very opening lick of the song was a little bit hard to, it's important because this particular lick is the first thing that people hear on the song, so I wanted it to be nice. And so here's take 1. Okay, so what I'm doing right now is I'm going to listen to each of the takes and decide which one I'm going to keep and which ones to throw away. All right, so I've got several takes of just that lick, and I'm going to decide which one I'm going to keep. Okay, here's take 2. Pretty darn close. Here's take 3. Here's 4. Now what you might be wondering, how come they're not all vertical in the same location? This is another recording technique. When I decided anew, you know what, I want several takes of just that one measure, that one lick to choose from. So what I did was I just simply recorded it over and over and over and over, from left to right, ignoring the chord progression of the song and whatever, and just rehearsing just that thing over and over. And this happens a lot with difficult guitar solos, especially if you're trying to harmonize your guitar solo with another guitar. And you have to play the same thing over and over and over until you get it just right. Anyway, so far they're kind of sounding pretty darn close. This would be number 5, I guess. That's really clean. That might be the one. I want it to be clean and easy to understand. That was number 6. So far I like 5 the most. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with number 5 because it's real clean, easy to hear it. Yeah, and I don't need, now the signal is a tiny bit louder on the first 2 here. See, I don't know. It's so subjective to opinion. See, I like the fact that it's a little bit stronger, but I can't decide on the sound of the finger sliding on the string, and you hear that. See, that's the kind of questions that goes through the producer's mind is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? Yeah, and then you get into other questions like, well, maybe we can EQ that noise out. No. You can try, but it's pretty hard. You know, I think I'm going to just go with that one. All right, so that's the one we're deciding on. Now, here's what we do. So we highlight the part that we don't want, hit delete, now it's gone. And well, I'm going to make this track here the quote-unquote final, or, you know, the actual performance that ends up on the recording. Okay, so I'm trimming that across. All right, now we take this out because we don't need this. Oh, by the way, everything that I'm doing when I hit delete, it's not final. It's, oh, there's a term for it, I forgot. Non-destructive, I think is the term they use. Meaning all of those little deletes are actually saved in a file of soundbites. Oh, soundbite is another term for the little pieces of recordings. Each one of these is called a soundbite in digital performer language. Okay, so now it sounds like this. Okay, then for a while here, the rest of the song is pretty straightforward. It's going to be, you know, pretty easy to pick some of these licks out. All right, but anyway, so that just gives you an idea of what goes on in the editing process. And so with several of these, I can get rid of this now because that's actually the same thing. Then I have another lick that I'm going to decide about, you know, which one do I like the most. And then there's another one that I'm going to decide about, and so forth. And then this just goes on until it's done. This whole process, the recording only took maybe 30 minutes to record that many takes. And then the editing is going to take more than 30 minutes to make these decisions and, you know, get them all put in their proper place and stuff like that. All right, but that just gives you an idea of what goes on. Bye.